Finance Manager.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Yes, appreciate that, Darcel. I'll show you just, there you go. Okay, my concern with this item is the retroactivity.
Yes.
So could you let us know why it's retroactive?
We've had a shortage of staff to work on contracts, and actually this is a staff aug contract that we hired a contractor to help us get caught up on the contracts.
Well, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Perfect.
Yes. Do we have any other questions from members? Commissioner Basham.
I'm sure it's going to pass it anyway, Madam Chair, but I've been trying to sort of set the standard on retroactive contracts, and we vote on them. It means that we're not doing our job, and if we don't vote on them, so it puts us in a pickle. And when I first got here, the retroactive contracts over 50,000 were 20-30%. They've been down to single digits, and now they're going up again. So to try to send a message that it's not acceptable to have retroactive contracts, I'll probably be a no vote on the 3 contracts coming. Thank you.
I'll move it for approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The item's been moved and supported without any other comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Note the record that Commissioner Basham is opposed. Thank you. Item passes.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item 3, approval of retroactive modification number 2 to a contract with a 2-year option to renew with the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan.
Yeah, we can take 3 and 4 together. Since both of them are Blue Cross Blue Shield contracts, and we won't make you go sit down and come. No, just 3 and 4. This way we won't make everybody get up and leave and come back, right? Yes. No musical chairs. All right, thanks for being with us today. Well, these are extremely retroactive, so Claire, I'm going to let you explain what happened here.
Good afternoon. Claire Mason Lee here in the capacity of Director of Benefits and Disability Administration. I have with me from Blue Cross, Nikki Hughes, who is our accounts manager for Blue Cross as well as for BCN, and then also Rob Fine, who is from the Blue Cross legal department. And then, of course, we have Jane Enright, who is our corporation counsel that has worked on the contract. So I asked them all to be here because the majority of the delay dealt with the contract renewal and the wording. And so we had quite a bit of back and forth. We started the process in, I want to say, late August, early September of last year. And there was quite a bit of exchange in regards to the formatting and the requirements that Blue Cross needed to have in these 2 major contracts. And of course, we're extending them for the 2 years, currently 2019 to the end of 2020. And so that's the majority of the delay. When they did get to our office, then the next steps were the insurance certificates, the FEPs, all of the additional information that needs to go along with the contract, so there was some timing to get that completed. But I'll stop there and allow our counsel, because they did most of the exchange in regards to the contracts.
And before you get into that, just one comment based on what you said. From what I understand, we are still waiting for some
Insurance certificate.
insurance certificates.
The insurance certificates have expired again. Well, they will be expired as of September 30th. They have been requested, and we should have them. Their newest certificates are October 1st.
Yes.
And so we should have them by the end of this week, but definitely before full board next week.
Okay. You wanted to speak before Commissioner Basham?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a process, exigent approval for those kinds of things, so that we don't have retroactive contracts. So we've also just recently, when it comes to insurance, updated our procurement ordinance too, so that we don't have retroactive contracts. So I'm going to continue to try to send a message about retroactives, and I know it'll pass anyway, but I'm just trying to send my message. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I may address that, first of all, we're talking about two different types of insurance. This is the healthcare insurance. Secondly, the exigent would not have applied because we did not have the final contracts back in order to do exigent approval, because we didn't get them back until June of this year.
Now we need to hear from those attorneys.
Yes.
It's always the attorneys, and nothing personal, but every time you have lawyers involved, it always takes a long time. Go ahead.
I'm taking my lawyer hat off.
Okay.
Linda Penty, Assistant Corporation Counsel. So as Claire indicated, we did get the renewal packet from Blue Cross and Blue Care Network late last year. To our surprise, when we got them, they were, Blue Cross and Blue Care Network have similar formats for their documents that they use, and they changed the formats for their Schedule A's, which of course then resulted in the county going back to make sure that we negotiated the same language and the same terms and conditions that we had for our original contract, and how those could be memorialized using the new format that Blue Cross and Blue Care Network needed for their new sort of forms that their corporate structures needed. So that took a lot of back and forth with both Blue Cross and then Blue Care Network to make sure that all the appropriate changes were made and memorialized. The Medicare Advantage plans also changed and were updated by CMS, so those had to be reviewed and made sure that those were consistent with what the county had in place as well, the stop loss document. So all those exhibits had changed and were updated, so we had to make sure that we reviewed everything and made sure that any negotiations that we had memorialized in 2016 contract were carried forward in this last renewal term. In addition, generally, Blue Cross and Blue Care Network only do their Schedule A's on an annual basis, but instead of coming back here, since the contract was being renewed for a 2-year stint, we wanted to make sure that they could make an exception and do their Schedule A for a 2-year period, so we didn't have to come back again. So that took a little while, but through all that, we did get it done. It did take some time, back and forth, and then, as Claire indicated, after that was finally resolved, we did also add a performance addendum for the prescription coverage, which took some negotiation to add that new program for the county as well.
Okay, so first thing I want to ask is the county happy with the outcome?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, since this expires in 20, have you already started
The RFP process?
yes, the RFP process for the next time? Because we can learn by this and say it's taken over a year. And if you do plan on doing business again with Blue Cross Blue Shield, I would suggest that you go for longer terms so that you don't find yourself in this predicament again.
I think the last few RFPs that we've issued for a lot of our health programs have been 5-year contracts, so we've sort of learned over the years not to have these short stints and have
Right.
a longer contract period. So, but the RFP has been in process, or as far as drafting it, it hasn't hit the street yet, but that is anticipated within the next month or two.
Okay, very good. Any comments? Commissioner Colleen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the contracts here is with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then one with Blue Cross Network?
Blue Care Network.
Blue Care Network. Yeah, okay. NEC will do. And the scope of services are remarkably similar. So can you differentiate for me? There's 2 population or retirees here. What's the, why the 2 contracts?
So the BCN is the HMO or the managed care contracts.
Okay.
And the Blue Cross Blue Shield is for the PPO management.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions from members? Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So are you going for a 5-year contract or what?
With the new RFP process, we'll issue for a 5-year contract.
All right, thank you.
I'll move items D3 and D4 for approval, Madam Chair.
Contingent upon us receiving the certificates.
Of course, I meant to say that.
Thank you. And supported as contingent, thank you. Items been moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
If I may say, I do also want to I do appreciate that Blue Cross did come today to answer any questions that you may have, but they have also been very understanding in our process here. They have not pursued payment. And so we will be making the payments after the full board approval. But we have quite a few invoices to be paid, but they have been very patient because knowing that the process took a long time. But I just wanted to say that because we've had other vendors who did also delay the process, but were not as cooperative. But Blue Cross has been very cooperative.
Amen. I remember those. Thank you. Commissioner Basham has it.
Cross knows that we're good for it.
Yes.
I told everyone, yes.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate that too, but the reason we've spent a tremendous amount of money upgrading our software also so we can eliminate this, again, the retroactives. And anyway, so just as a protest vote, I'll be a no on these two items. Thank you.
Okay, so I had a motion and support. The item passed. Note Commissioner Basham as a no vote.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming. Now we're going to skip to number 6 because the number 5 on the addenda. Number 5 is a closed session and we don't want to keep Karub waiting all day. So we will move to item 6 on the addenda.
Item 6, approval of modification number 1 to a 2-year contract with a 2-year option to renew with Karub Associates Law.
Can I have it? Thank you. Okay, good morning, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And if you could please state your names and titles for the record.
Kevin Kavanaugh from Corporation Counsel.
Marino Taylor II, Associate, Karub Associates.
Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Okay, so we didn't get a lot of time with this contract. Our staff just received it yesterday, and it was a big push to get it through. So out of consideration for my members, could you please give us an overview since we haven't really had time to digest it?
Well, the contract, this is simply the county's exercising the 2-year renewal option that the prior contract provided. So it's pretty straightforward.
It is.
As a contract, yeah.
And we were told that there was going to be a better rate?
Yes, and if, as it lays out in the modification in paragraph 2, the compensation, yearly compensation is reduced by $8,000 a year. So the monthly payment is consequently reduced from, I think it was $6,700 to $6,000. So it is represents
reduction.
A savings. To the
Yes, very good. Okay. We've been doing business with Karub for a long time, and they've done well by us. So any other questions? Commissioner Clark Coleman.
I move approval.
Oh,
And I
thank you.
support that.
Okay, the item's been moved and supported. Commissioner Colleen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor. Has Karub met to discuss their activities in Lansing with the chair of the commission or any of her staff?
We will be. We have
Is that a contract provision now?
I don't have the contract in front of me, sir. I'll have to review it.
Is that Mr. Kavanaugh?
Honestly, offhand, I'm not sure. I'd have to, and I don't have the original in front of me either.
Because I think that's been something that's been lacking in the communication.
It's good to know.
I've always...
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know that I believe the issue if it isn't in the contract, it's been handled. I know Karub was at the table last time, and they've
because
a willingness to accommodate that sort of
request. I keep raising that issue because when we say we have a lobbyist for the county up in Lansing, I'm going to say the county commission is part of the county.
Oh.
Just me.
I will.
And so I think having some updates, and I understand why you don't want to do it here and full board and public and all that kind of stuff, but I think at least my leadership my chair and/or her staff need to get fairly regular briefings from you, so there's, no surprises.
Yes, sir. Madam Chair and members of the committee, I could not agree more. I know that recently, once I first started at Karub here in March, so I'm still fairly new, but I do realize that we shifted communications from quarterly to monthly communications. And along the process of that transition, some of those legislative updates were not sent over to the commission. I can tell you today that we are committed to making sure that the commissioners do receive all of that information. I understand the importance of the decisions you have to make, and I want to make sure that you have the most relevant information. So going forward, I do promise you that all of our updates will be sent over not only to the executive, but to Mr. Parker in the chair's office.
Okay, because just one more, Madam Chair. I read the monthly reports. I get reports from Washington and stuff, and it could be a summary of what I see in MERS, but there's other things that are going on behind the scenes and discussions that are being had that are not in that monthly report to all commissioners, and so that's why I want my leadership to be apprised of those discussions as well. Thank you.
Just a note for the record, they do a once-a-year report in committee of the whole that they've done historically, but I do like the request and the answer, so I'll be glad to hear that we'll be getting those monthly. I have Commissioner Scott and then Commissioner Basham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, somehow I've been getting them. And the last one I got was to have there's 2 bills in the House regarding the commissioners having a 4-year
Yes.
instead of 2 years.
That's
okay?
good news.
All right, yeah. So
Commissioner
they have been
Scott
working-
ranks. Okay,
I'm
so the
sorry
rest
you all
of
don't
us.
get them, but I do get them.
Okay, Commissioner Basham?
Oh, so you made that promise in front of Greg. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Bernard, would you like to make a comment?
Bernard Parker, Director of Commission Affairs, through the Chair, Commissioners. I just wanted to reiterate that Mr. Taylor is clear. We've had some conversations in the past regarding him meeting with Chair to be able to, if you will, divulge those backroom talks, and then to also for me to be able to communicate it out. The issue is just getting their schedules together. That's all. So we are well aware of what you're looking for us to do. So.
Very good, because there's a lot, to both their points, there's a lot of things going on in Lansing that affect us directly that they're working on. So, yeah, we would like to keep right on top of those. Thank you so much. Okay.
Well, thank you, Karub.
So I have a motion and a support. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, item passes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I think we should probably do it before. I'm going to have to exercise a liberty for consideration of a resident. We do have a public comment card, and we're going to go into closed session. So rather than make this person wait, I'd like to move public comment up. So Roderick Johnson, if you'd like to make your public comment.
Roderick Johnson. I live on the east side in the rumor house on Wilshire and Gunson, in the area of the east side of Detroit. We still have trouble with a lot of stray dogs all around the area, like a lot of the pit bull dogs, the dangerous dogs over there. We've got them real bad over there where we live right there. And they be driving down the street real fast down there on Gratiot. And it's kind of dark over there. And we hear gunshots. It'd be sometime early in the day and then at night, early in the evening, like gunshots. So I stay in the rumor house.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know.
And they should, like, the seniors, they want to get the hot lunch program back at the Colton Young Center where I work. And they have a lunch program like for the kids too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you have any other
Okay. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our closed session.
So moved.
So I need to take a roll call vote, don't I?
Yep. So you have a motion. You just need support first.
I know it's been moved and supported. Thank you.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes, to go into closed session.
Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Clark Coleman, Commissioner Basham,
Yeah.
Commissioner Killeen.
He had to be excused.
All right, Commissioner Webb.
Yes.
Chairwoman, you are now in closed session.
We need one moment for you to close doors and turn off.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to leave. I'm sorry.
Felicia.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, you have to leave. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, this is a closed session. Yeah, this part is. That's why I took you first, because I didn't want you to have to wait for us. That's quite all right.